All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Built to Last. My name is David Campbell. We're going to talk today about bid management and pre-qualification. So our two main topics are going to be BuildingConnected and TradeTapp. So let me go ahead and dive into it. So today we're going to dive into a little bit of a welcome and introduction, introduce myself and who I am and who I work for, Topcon Solutions. Then we're going to dive into the pre-qualification side. We're going to talk about bid management, bidding, the tools that we can use, how they communicate, and then finally how that all flows downstream or how it flows into the project files and documents. All right. So if you have not been in one of my webinars before, welcome. My name is David Campbell. I'm the manager of construction software services here at Topcon Solutions. I lead our team of 5 individuals who do construction implementations for Autodesk Build, Cost Management, BuildingConnected, BidBoard Pro, TradeTapp, ProEst, the recently released Autodesk Estimate, you kind of name it. We do a little bit of everything. So Topcon Solutions, who we are as a whole. As Topcon Solutions, we are an Autodesk and Bluebeam Platinum partner and service provider. We've been a service provider for well over 30 years. Myself, I've actually been with Topcon Solutions for 9 going on 10 years. We have industry-leading training and support. Myself, again, I am part of the training and consulting side on the software side of Topcon Solutions. But in all reality, Topcon Solutions has many other pieces like the repairs, the hardware side, in this case with field supplies, hardware, total stations, laser scanners, pipe lasers, drones, you gotta name it, rentals and tech support, accessories, and also 3D models through our Dirt Logic team and our Clear Edge team. So we have a lot of different pieces, and really this all comes together to say that, we partner well. We try to know the full solutions, the full workflows from office to field and back. Let me go ahead. I apologize about this, guys. I always end up leaving Teams open, and that gets me. So let me go ahead and move forward on that one. I got that closed out. All right. So as TSS, and thank you for the reminder, as TSS, we have, I think, 15 different store locations right now. We have many different brick and mortar locations across the US, and we're expanding. We are the retail arm of Topcon Positioning Systems, just kind of going back to that hardware side, right? Essentially, we sell all of the hardware and software for Topcon Positioning Systems, as well as being a partner for Autodesk and Bluebeam. Now, I wanted to take a quick poll here real quick and see how many people here are currently pre-qualifying contractors they work with. Just to get an idea here, I know it's going to take a few seconds to pop up, but if you can, and by pre-qualify, I really mean how many, let's say, contractors out there are, when you're expanding into a new area, if you're looking for different subcontractors, or even, in your local area, you're looking for new contractors to work with, do you typically pre-qualify them in terms of like their certificate of insurance, the W-9, looking at their safety information? Or is that something that you guys, typically maybe don't do as you work with a lot of, let's say, local subcontractors? We don't really need to pre-qualify. We've been working with these people for 20 to 30 years. We know the people that we're working with. I'll give some time for that. All right. So we've got some good responses. Thank you very much, everyone. Let me go ahead and we're going to move forward. So it looks about 66% don't pre-qualify currently, and about 33% pre-qualify. Okay, so that's good to know, right? Now, as we dive in, what I'm going to talk about today is this first slide here kind of talks about everything, and then we're going to dive into some of the individual pieces. But as the Autodesk Construction Cloud, the construction solutions, it really goes to create one unified platform with multiple solutions in it, right? Now, the big piece that I'm going to talk about today is really connecting data, right? The data flow from one environment, from one phase of construction, pre-construction, bidding, estimating, over into actual project management, cost control, the financials. Essentially, one of the big things that again, I'm going to try to harp on today is the integration and the flow of that data from one environment to the next, right? Essentially, with the Autodesk Construction Cloud, you're going to see a vast majority of products, the model coordination, design collaboration, Autodesk Docs, the Navisworks Manage, BuildingConnected Pro, Bidboard Pro, Autodesk Takeoff, which is now Autodesk Pre-Construction, built out into Takeoff and Estimate, and then Autodesk Build, Auto Specs. There's a lot of different pieces, ProEst, there's a lot of different pieces that essentially different personnel within the construction process can use during the life cycle of that project, right? Now, the big thing about this, whether they're using design products, AutoCAD, Revit, Navisworks, Recap, they're using ProEst, Assemble, BuildingConnected, BIM Collaborate Pro. Oh, I forgot to expand this one. I apologize, but pre-construction. If they're using pre-construction, Autodesk Build, each, and the VR environment, I needed to expand that one as well. But essentially, all of these different pieces work in tandem with this right here, right? Autodesk Docs is at the foundation of every piece that you're going to see here, all right? And we're going to talk about how the data can translate across this. But the nice thing about it is if you're starting in pre-construction where we have a lot of the design, or we're doing estimating, we have tools like BuildingConnected, TradeTapp, ProEst, or Autodesk Estimate, AutoCAD, Revit, Navisworks. A lot of that will come into it with BIM Collaborate Pro as the project moves forward into project management, into construction, Build with cost management and Autodesk Build. And auto specs. But again, all of this works to translate the data from one stage to the next, right? So let's go ahead and dive in here. So with pre-qualification, my first piece is going to be with pre-qualifying with confidence on TradeTapp, okay? TradeTapp really gives you a centralized subcontractor risk evaluation environment, which I'm also going to talk about the centralized document control that it also gives you with all of your subcontractors, a centralized environment for that. Customizable questionnaires, risk scoring based on your criteria, automated reminders and expiration tracking, as well as an integrated integration into your bidding workflows. So let's go ahead and dive into TradeTapp. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. There we go. Perfect. I'm going to give it a few seconds to update here. Now, as we're diving into TradeTapp, right? One of the first environments that you're going to see is essentially all of the invitations that you have sent out that are in progress, that haven't been started, that have been submitted. But one big thing that I love about this is you're able to go ahead and also see any projects that you have in bidding, which contractors you have for those projects. You can filter out based on if they have an application status, if this has been synced to BuildingConnected, if they have a qualification status already, their expiration date, if you want to see when those are coming up. We're going to get to see a lot of the information here. But again, the primary usage here for TradeTapp, I want to say there's actually a couple of big things that stick out for me. One is going to be, the centralized qualification and risk data, right? It's an environment that keeps track of all of this information for all of the contractors that we're working with, but it also gives us a centralized document environment. Now, as I go to jump in, let's say I'm going to talk about Topcon solutions here. When I jump into Topcon Solutions, we're going to see an overview, like a summary here of Topcon Solutions. We'll see our qualification status, the expiration date, our internal single limit, internal total limit. And we're also going to see information like our key metrics, the single project capacity, the aggregate total capacity, the backlog, the working capital, the revenue, the EMRs, the recordable rate or their DART rate, the largest completed projects. We're also going to see their risks and strengths, as well as mitigation recommendations if they have any. Now, what I want to point out about this, as we kind of go through, the different pieces of TradeTapp here, is this right here already starts giving us an idea. If you're looking at a contractor to work on a job, right? What is their single project capacity? What is their backlog? What backlog do they have? Are they going to be able to do the job that we need them to do, right? Now, from there, what I want to mention is a lot of this information here is typically generated from what we call a questionnaire, right? A questionnaire, when we go to send this outside of the system, so I'll go to my settings here real quick, just so you guys can see what this is. When I go to my questionnaire, I can kind of put, like, I can customize this, what's going to go out for them to fill out, right? This gives me the ability to, or gives them the ability to fill out this questionnaire and me to pull in this information, right? Now, I will say there are a few different types of questionnaire. You'll see in the version management here, I have a primary qualification, a secondary, if they have existing qualifications, if I want a renewal, different things like that. We can add different versions of this questionnaire, right? Now, that is also something that I want to make sure I mention, is that as this environment can host all of the qualification data, we're going to talk about the COIs, the W-9, the safety information. But one of the nice things about this system is that it actually sends automated reminders to update. So if a contractor has an expiring COI, or we're coming at the end of the year and we need new financial information, it's going to send out automated reminders to update this information. So super, super nice, right? Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is your weighting. Now, weighting in terms of, like, let's say our financial ratios and metrics. How do we want to weigh the data that we're going to input into the system? Specifically here with financials, right, and safety. Now, with financials here, do we want to weigh more towards their liquidity, turnover, profitability, or their debt? And then again, for safety, let's say their EMR, their recordable injury rate, their DART ratio, right? How we're going to use this is, let me go ahead and go back to my invitations here and go to Topcon Solutions. You'll see in the example of financial, what happens is it asks them to upload a financial document, to upload the COI, and this program actually uses OCR, or optical character recognition, to pull data from the PDFs or from the documents that you're uploading to fill this information out, okay? And the weightings that you're going to end up applying to that really end up coming over to, let's say, your summaries, and also go into, when you're going, we're going to talk about as we go into BuildingConnected, how you're going to see that data. Now, again, the financial and then safety information. Now, one thing that's interesting, I kind of mentioned earlier, the insurance, the financial safety. If I come down here to the bottom, you're going to see documents, right? So as I mentioned earlier, this environment allows you to store all of the documents, whether they're financial, safety, insurance documents, right here. So it's a standardized place to store that COI, to be able to go ahead and reference it. If you're working on a project and you want to know when that COI expires, you're going to be able to check right within cost management or here within TradeTapp. Now, obviously, we'll go through that. We can go through the cost management, how TradeTapp sends information there a little bit down the line in a further webinar. But essentially, that data flow, right? The documents here, the metrics, the data will flow from TradeTapp down the line. We're going to talk about BuildingConnected specifically and BidBoard Pro in this webinar, but also down the line to the other Autodesk products, such as the Autodesk Construction Cloud with build and cost management. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hit the X here. And the other piece of what I want to talk about is the approvals, right? So as we start generating approvals, so let's say Topcon Solutions, right? We have an approval here for the Seaport Civic Center. They've been approved for $300,000. Now we also see their qualification status. We can put any tags or flags, excuse me, and any internal outstanding balances that we have. Now, you'll also notice right over here, we have that auto renewal button to send those out and automatically like send those reminders for renewals. Now I'm going to go ahead and get back into my presentation here. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. And I'm going to navigate this. So navigate over here to my final transition slide before I get into BuildingConnected. So some of the big pieces that we're going to dive into as we go further into this is that with TradeTapp, you're able to push those qualified vendors directly into BuildingConnected. You can restrict bid invites based on that qualification status. You have real-time access to the risk profiles in the bidding process, but also real-time access to all of the documents that they've uploaded, the financial, the safety, the COIs, all of that information, you have access to all of it. And you can ensure only vetted subs receive invitations and create a feedback loop between risk and bid performance. Now, let me go ahead and we're going to talk about bid management and bidding. So with BuildingConnected, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And we're going to talk about the translation of the data. Let's go share. Oh, that's not it. There it is. Can you guys see my screen? Let's go make sure. Oh, that's why it was an edged. Okay. All right. So now that we have all of this data in TradeTapp, right, let's go ahead and navigate over to BuildingConnected and kind of push through that information that I was talking about. So what you're going to see is if I go into qualifications, and actually let me go to my regular one here. Here we go. So right here, we're going to see any TradeTapp invitations that we've sent out inside of BuildingConnected or BidBoard Pro. You're going to see if you have awaiting submissions, any corrections that are needed, and anything that's been submitted. Now, on that note as well, if I go down to contacts, as I kind of mentioned earlier, you can push any qualified vendors, and you'll notice that this data table is updated nightly. You can push over any vendors that you've qualified. Now, where does this work out into, right? So let me go ahead. I want to go back here, go to my projects. Let me give a second for this to catch up. Inside of BuildingConnected, where the TradeTapp data will end up going, let me go ahead and go into my project here. I'm going to select my project, and then I'm going to go into one of my bid packages. So you'll see as this catches up here, I'm going to give it a few seconds to make sure it catches up. Essentially, we're going to see any of that qualification information, the application status, their qualification status, that total limit, project limit, internal backlog, their EMR safety ratings, and a summary here, as well as certificates of what that business has or that contractor has when we're looking at evaluating the bids, right? So that TradeTapp information flows down into BuildingConnected to help anyone making a decision on which vendors. Now, another good note on this, these people have essentially already bid on the project, but if I want to invite bidders to the project, this is where I can go ahead and specify I only want to use vendors that I've qualified or vendors that have been qualified with exceptions. The application is complete. We can filter that based off of that TradeTapp data, okay? Now, as I dive into BuildingConnected and BidBoard Pro, I want to make a clarification here just really quick, right? BuildingConnected Pro is more for a contractor that wants to host a project that is going to subcontract out some of the work, right? Now, I know I've worked with many contractors who will, let's say they work concrete, right? But they will also, they'll bid a job and then they'll get it. They'll also have to subcontract out maybe rebar. So this is where the BuildingConnected piece allows you to create a project, host bid packages, and allow others to bid on those bid packages, right? We have bidder list templates and bid form templates, so we can kind of standardize the layout of our bid forms of what data we're getting in, and then the bidders that are bidding on that. But we also have the capability to utilize TradeTapp and BuildingConnected to search for more bidders, to invite people to bid, to invite them to qualify, make sure that they can, complete this work that we need them to work to do. But again, the BuildingConnected environment, as I go into my Big Man Brewing and Barbecue, you're going to see more of the bid packages, the messages, the files, the bid forms. A lot of this lives inside of, again, BuildingConnected, right? So
hi, Dave.
with BuildingConnected, yes, ma'am.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just noticed that your screen isn't sharing.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, let me go into here and see if I can.
It's 1 minute, everyone.
Let me go stop
there
sharing.
You
go. And share screen. And it's this one. There it is. Okay. All right. Is it coming through now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. I do apologize about that, everyone. Thank you for your patience. I'll go back to kind of the beginning here. What we're looking at is BuildingConnected, and I kind of wanted to make sure I made the designation between BuildingConnected and BidBoard Pro. Like BuildingConnected Pro is really where we're going to host projects and allow people to bid on it. BidBoard Pro is really when we're looking to bid on work. We're going to see projects in our area that we're able to go ahead and click on and like assign it to a teammate or evaluate if we want to bid it. And if we do, we can go ahead and create a project from that. Now, we'll talk about that a little bit further in depth here in a few minutes. I wanted to dive into BuildingConnected and talk about how this helps really managing our bids, right? With BuildingConnected, again, you'll notice that it's broken out typically into your bid packages that you would invite contractors to bid on, whether that's for materials or subcontract work, what have you. Now, as I get into an example of my foundations here, what we'll see is I have a list of bidders who have bid on this work. And one of the big benefits of this program is being able to see if there are any revisions to the proposal, keeping all of that in one central environment. If there are any files that have been uploaded for this specific bid package or for the project in general, all of those files are stored here. I'm also going to talk about how they are backed up to Autodesk Docs here in a second, but again, all of that information stays here. Now, the other piece that I want to make sure that I talk about is actually the bid leveling, because this is a huge piece for BuildingConnected. Any contractor trying to see, okay, what exactly is this person or this contractor, this job, this company going to do, right? For Edward and Jones Concrete, I can see that they've offered 65 towards the foundations, 95 towards the floors, and 30 towards precast, whereas E.S. Wagner 75, 65, and 150. Now, as we start to look at these numbers, this is also where we can actually start not only leveling, but really evaluating the bids and seeing what services they're going to offer and any additional items that aren't covered, and knowing like the holes, right? Being able to actually see the holes in the bid. In this case, I know E.S. Wagner is going to do the rebar work and stamping. Nobody else bid on that. But Collier is going to do the concrete floor, the concrete foundation form work, rebar, and the walls. So I'm going to use part of Collier, let's say, and E.S. Wagner to do this job. Now, at this point, the other piece that I'll make sure to mention is that once we have this solidified, we've gone ahead, we've awarded it, you're going to see the ability to create a contract inside of Autodesk Cost Management, inside of the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Again, another kind of piece on how that data actually flows over. You're going to notice like your bid form translates out to the actual SOV of that contract or purchase order. But again, the main thing here I wanted to, again, kind of make sure I harp on is that the data flows from one of these environments to the other as the project moves forward in its life cycle. Now, with BuildingConnected, again, great place to host all of your bids and the information there. And the other piece that I wanted to make sure that I mention and kind of finalize with this is that project files or documents, right? You're going to see here that you can link a project right over to what we call Autodesk Docs. And if I go over to files here, when I click on Autodesk Docs here, what this does is it takes me over into the Autodesk Construction Cloud, this foundation for all of the other pieces. And if I go into the administration folder, my bidding and contract documents, here's going to be all of the folders and the files for that entire project, all of the bid packages, any files that have been uploaded in the main project area for BuildingConnected, those will all be here. But the other benefit is that they're all version controlled. This is one big thing that I, again, really love about this integration. Like, I can get in here and see this Foundation 1 Excel spreadsheet. I know that this is the most up-to-date version. I know that. But what I'm not able to see is how that document is changed, right? This is where Autodesk Docs, if I use this compared versions, I can actually do an overlay and see exactly what has changed from one document to the next version, right? From one version over to the next. Now, this does it for CAD files, PDFs, Word files, Excel files, you kind of name it. Any file that's stored inside of BuildingConnected is automatically backed up here. The other side of that I think is really cool is the fact that you can also add any information here, any data. If you upload files here, you actually will be able to see that file within BuildingConnected. So it is a two-way data sync, and it will take that data over. So on the other side of this with BidBoard Pro essentially gives us, again, the ability, and I'm going to switch over to my other project here, to see all of the work of our type. And this is done in your settings. You put, what kind of work that you do, what area that you're working in, and you're able to see all of the work that's going on in your area. I can see the other GCs or other contractors that are bidding this project. If I maybe want to look at, let's say, the Lakeview data center, right? I can go ahead and click on that one. And let's say I want to go ahead and see what this is. Maybe I want to view the full opportunity. So when I want to look at when the job walk is, when the RFIs are due. Now, this one's probably not the best one, so let me pick a different one to go ahead and show you guys here. Let's say this one here. So I can see, again, there we go. There's a better overview of the project. We can see one or more clients bidding on the project, the date that it's due, the date that we were invited, the project name, the location. We're able to see any information about this project. And we're also able to go ahead and then assign a team member. So if I know that I want Eric to go ahead and maybe take lead on this one, to look it through and see if this is something that we want to bid, maybe go ahead and grab the files from this, we can do that. Now, if we do decide to bid this is where we can do a couple of different things. One, create and link to a project. This is where it takes a BidBoard project and pushes it into BuildingConnected. So if we know that we're going to bid this project, but we also know that we're going to subcontract some of the work on this, we can create a BuildingConnected project from this and then essentially link it to this project. The benefit of that is if the client uploads any data on their side, any documents, it's automatically going to flow into our BuildingConnected project. And then again, we can link this to Docs, either BuildingConnected or right here in BidBoard Pro, right? If we're just going to go ahead and bid on this, and we think actually we've won it, we're going to move forward, we can link this to Autodesk Docs. And right here, you can see that you can create a new project. So let's say I want to go with Topcon. We're going to go Topcon Solutions. I can choose a project template. I can select a project number, and this will go ahead and copy any new client files over into my project. So let's say this is going to be a demonstration project. I click Next, and it's going to go ahead and create that project in ACC for me. Now, a couple cool things about that is once you have that over in ACC Docs, you really can specify, where do I want to put this? Let's say I want to put it in, oh gosh, I should have put this in, we're going to do VDC construction, we'll do administration, bidding and contract documents, and add. So what I've done there is I've created an Autodesk project for it, but at this point, I'm now able to use my desktop connector to actually open up those PDFs inside of, let's say, Bluebeam Review or Adobe and go through it. If I know that I'm going to do takeoffs on it, I can grab that PDF and take it over to, you know, my estimating solution. In this case, if we're using ProEst or if we're using Autodesk Estimate, it's built on files. So it's all there ready to go. You can do your takeoffs and quantify everything right there. Autodesk ProEst, you would still need to download it and then upload it. But any other, you know, estimating solution, you would typically need to download it or open it with your desktop connector. Now, as I go back to BidBoard here, again, one big thing other than being able to, you know, see like some work that's going on directly around you, you're able to also go to the plan room. The plan room is really, really nice, and this kind of goes really well with the TradeTapp piece, right? I'm going to go ahead and look at my filters. I'm going to get rid of this filter and apply. You know what? Let's get rid of consultants and let's do concrete. There we go. And apply. What's nice about this is, again, it'll start showing you all of the work that's around you. So if I'm looking at expanding, like I know I'm up in Valparaiso, and if I want to look at the job, so there's a job in Portage here. There's a job over in Hammond. Looks like there's a job near, what is that? Cherville, probably. Oh, it's Munster. Okay. And then Crown Point. If I wanted to start expanding outside of my area, if I wanted to start maybe going down towards Indianapolis and looking at places or looking at working with contractors that I have not worked with before, this is where I can go ahead and actually, you know, qualify contractors, or I can actually view that project and use that pre-qualification to look and see what that project, what they've done, what they have. So I know that in this case, they have a lot of different bid packages, demo, concrete, all of this that I could go ahead and join to bid on those. But if I also go, let's look at, no, that's not gonna let me do it. Here's all their different projects. I need to go back to BidBoard. There we go. With this, again, we're able to find more work and expand our, you know, let's say our offerings, right? Now, on the other side, and I do apologize, I was kind of mixing those back and forth. When you're looking to, let's say, invite new contractors to work with you, that's again going to be kind of on this on the BuildingConnected side, and to qualify them. Like if I'm looking for bidders to go ahead and work on, you know, this architecture project, and it's somewhere that I don't currently have a lot of contractors that I've typically worked with, like Indianapolis here, I can go ahead and look for them. And what you'll notice is when you add these companies, you can also invite them to qualify. So at this case, I can invite this this company to qualify for us. If I know they're down by Noblesville, I can qualify this 4021 architecture to see, you know, what kind of work or what their ratings currently look like. I could also get into, and you know, this one I'm actually going to do concrete. There we go. So I'll see concrete, Indy, SRM. This is where I can specify if I prefer to work with them, you know, specifying like your favorites. We can add contacts to the bid, but this is also where, again, if I want to filter out by any that we've actually sent a qualification invitation to, the application is in process, we can go ahead and essentially qualify these contractors or find the best contractors to work with, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get back to this here and stop sharing my screen. I'll hit next. So BuildingConnected Pro gives you a centralized bid management environment for, well, any kind of contractor, not just a general. If you're a subcontractor and you're also, you know, subcontracting some of the work that you do, it's also a great environment for that. It allows you to create and send your bid packages out in minutes. And you get real-time bidder communication and tracking of those bids. And you can access pre-qualification from TradeTapp during the bid creation. It also gives you the version control and document tracking through that integration with Autodesk Docs. You're going to see the bid comparison and scope leveling tools that we talked about, and you can award seamlessly to cost management, as I kind of showed you taking over and creating a contract. Now, Bidboard Pro, this one creates a centralized hub for your inbound bid invites, but also gives you the ability to go to that plan room and expand your area of work to include, other areas, find work that's out there, maybe in areas that you haven't yet gotten into. It allows you to track the due dates, the bid status, and assignments. It gives you real-time collaboration on those projects across your different teams. It allows you to track your wins and your awards, and allows you to say goodbye to spreadsheets, right? Now, that is actually one of the biggest things I also want to make sure that I go through before. Why is this not coming up for me? Let's do you. I'm going to go to share screen. There it is. Okay, perfect. I just got to make sure it's up before I do that. So one of the last things that I want to make sure that I talk about are the analytics, right? Whether you're looking at Bidboard and you want to look at your analytics here of how many bids you've sent out, how many bids you've won, your hit rate by dollar value. You want to look at your active opportunities, how many of you accepted, how many have been submitted, how many you've won, lost, your wins by client. This is where the data starts actually working for you, right? This is the benefit. If you're starting to utilize all of this to track your bids or track your projects, in the case of Bidboard, you're tracking all the bids, projects that you're bidding on, how many you've submitted versus how many you've actually won, how many did you lose, what sectors, what project types are you really, accelerating at doing, what clients have you really successfully bid and won a lot of work with this year. And then on the other side with BuildingConnected, we're going to see that we can see the total projects that you've published, the locations that you're currently working in, the ones that you've won, ones you've lost, the top clients, again, the different market sectors that you're working in, the lead estimators that you have. So it's going to give you more insights into what's going on with your BuildingConnected environment. Let me go ahead and navigate back here. We're going to stop sharing. Now, this is the other piece that I mentioned, and I wanted to just make sure that I connected on this before we go to any questions. The BuildingConnected Bidboard Pro integration with Autodesk Docs allows you to create new or link them to existing Autodesk projects, right? This allows you to store and organize your bid phase, bid package documents in Docs, right? Now, one of the coolest things about that, not only with it syncing and then the version control, is that once you've linked those there, if the project moves forward into construction, right? Obviously, in estimation, we can use it with Autodesk pre-construction, Autodesk takeoff and estimate. We can use it with ProEst or any of the other takeoff solutions, Bluebeam Review, anything like that, on-screen takeoff, what have you. But you're also able to then keep that data moving forward when you activate Autodesk Build, when you activate BIM Collaborate Pro, let's say, you activate BIM Collaborate Pro so we can get into Revit. We have our overall architectural, and now we need to go ahead and model out or prefabricate an electrical room or mechanical room or the mechanical itself, what have you. All of that data flows from one stage into the next as it moves forward into design. As we get, Autodesk Build and cost management activated, you have all of the bid documents, all of the designs, the models, the shop drawings, all the specifications, everything starts moving forward. And again, it all connects back too. So as we move forward into construction, all of the data in build cost, it all connects back to Docs and again to BuildingConnected as well as TradeTapp. So really what this is going to do from pre-qual to turnover is consistently reduce your risk and increase your efficiencies. You're not duplicating data from one environment, one silo, right? We're going to eliminate those silos. So data flows from one environment to the next as the next project team is going to get into it. They're seeing, and that's the other kind of benefit about this, right? Yes, TradeTapp is separate than BuildingConnected. BuildingConnected is separate than Autodesk Docs. Autodesk Docs is a different module than Autodesk Build. But the benefit is that all of those modules are built on the unified platform that allows each person to be in their environment, but to use the same data that the entire project team is using, the foundational sheets, the change orders, the subcontract purchase orders, all of that flows into, like Autodesk Docs, and all of it flows forward into the other modules, which again eliminates the data silos that we have and allows you to capture and leverage that product data at every stage in the project lifecycle and deliver better outcomes with confidence. All right, do we have any questions? Now, are we still looking at, yeah, let's see. No, everyone is still seeing, okay, let me, there we go. So we had one question that came up. Will TradeTapp integrate with cost management? And yes, it does integrate with cost management. You'll notice that in cost management, we have things like compliance requirements. So if you need a COI or a W-9 in order to create and release the subcontractor, release payment, do lien releases, we can integrate that with TradeTapp to see those documents and again, pull the expiration and all that kind of stuff from cost management, or from TradeTapp, excuse me, into cost management. Any other questions? Okay, so does BidBoard Pro also connect to Autodesk Docs? Yes, it does. Both BidBoard and both BidBoard and BuildingConnected Pro will each individually integrate with Autodesk Docs. So you don't have to create a BuildingConnected project in order to use that integration. You can just utilize BidBoard Pro. You'll notice there's a little caret off on the right-hand side of your project, and you'll just click that drop down. You should see link to Autodesk Docs, and once you click that, it'll bring up the dialog that will show you if you want to create it for you want to create a new ACC project, or if you want to link it to an existing. Great question. All right, see if any more come in. I think I'll take one more question and then I can let everyone go. All right. Well, it looks like we don't have any other questions, but that's perfectly fine. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us. And I think that about does it. Yeah. Now, if you guys have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out. I gotta think, is it info@topconsolutions.com? Katrina, is that the email that we want to use?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to email info@topconsolutions.com. And if you wanted to maybe get a little bit deeper of a dive, you want to take a little bit more, get into it about what maybe TradeTapp will do, or maybe a little bit more into BuildingConnected, BidBoard Pro, if you're new to it, if you're looking for some training, or if you're just really looking to use it a little bit more, you're looking to kind of get into it, we can help direct you guys there. Again, feel free to reach out, info@topconsolutions.com. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day.